Brianna was larger than life. She was funny, witty and fearless.
16-year-old Brianna Ghey wanted to be a TikTok star. Her life was taken away from her just as it was about to begin by two teenagers, one she thought a friend. Today, her parents paid tribute to her as a jury at Manchester Crown Court found them guilty of murder.
We miss Brianna so much, and our house feels empty without her laughter. To know how scared my usually fearless child must have been when she was alone in that park with someone that she called her friend will haunt me forever.
And I know she was a beautiful girl to be proud of. I hate how her life has been brutally taken away from her, and she's been deprived of the life she wanted to live.
Because they were just 15 at the time of their crime, we can only call the defendants Girl X and Boy Y. The CPS said it was one of the most disturbing cases they had ever dealt with. The evidence was overwhelming. Police even found a murder plan in the girl's bedroom.
And it was, as the attack happened and as the lead-up happened with timings, what time Brianna would get off the bus, what time they would meet, what they would then do. So it effectively summed up the plan and the attack.
The court was shown Brianna's last movements, leaving the house on Saturday morning to meet Girl X, who she knew, and Boy Y, who she'd never even met. Her mother told the court she was often anxious and rarely went out on the weekends. So when Brianna texted to say she was on the bus, she texted her back to congratulate her, telling the court she was really proud. It was this park near Warrington that Girl X and Boy Y lured Brianna to that Saturday lunchtime. The casual, almost flippant way with which they discussed killing her, even saying they couldn't do it on a school night because of revision and stopping off at a supermarket to buy a meal deal on their way to meet her, was at odds with the violence of the attack, which the court heard was sustained and brutal. Brianna was stabbed 28 times. Her blood was found on a knife in Boy Y's room, as well as on his clothing and shoes. The court heard considerable force had been used to kill her. By the time she was found by a couple walking their dog, her injuries were unsurvivable. That couple saw two people standing next to her body, who then escaped across a field. When the trial opened, there was never any doubt that it was Girl X and Boy Y running away. Both said it was the other wielding the knife, that they never intended themselves to kill her, but their messages told a different story.
They go from talking horror films, Sweeney Todd, and then messages just dropped into it, and we go from murderous text messages to "I'm busy having my tea," and then back to murderous intent again.
Girl X even said,
"I love watching torture vids, real ones, on the dark web."
Brianna was one of 5 children they discussed killing, including another we're calling Boy E.
They had a real thirst for death and for murder, and we believe that they genuinely were set out and intent on killing someone. And as tragic as it was Brianna.
If we can't get E tomorrow, we can kill Brianna.
Yeah, it'll be easier.
Let's stab her. Original E plan. Back and throat. She's agreed to come to Cultchith tomorrow.
So I bring my knife.
Police say that Brianna's anxiety and isolation made her particularly vulnerable. Boy Y refers to Brianna, who was a transgender girl, as it throughout. When he delays the murder date, Girl X says,
"I don't want to wait. I just want her to die. I want to see pure horror on her face and hear her scream in pain."
Police were confounded not only by the age of the defendants and the lack of motive beyond a desire to kill, but by their steadfast belief they would get away with it. Girl X even posted a Snapchat tribute to Brianna.
I know people sat at home watching this or reading will have this sort of image that they'll build themselves, but actually they're both really clever kids, very bright, very articulate. Even throughout the evidence we've seen how they come across. But I think their downfall has been their confidence or arrogance around the fact that they thought that it could take another human life and then thought there would be no comeuppance for them.
The alibi concocted by Girl X that Brianna had left them to meet a boy from Manchester didn't stand up to scrutiny. When faced with the overwhelming evidence, the teens turned on each other.
Prior to the trial, I had moments where I felt sorry for the defendants because they had ruined their own lives as well as ours. But now, knowing the true nature and seeing neither display an ounce of remorse for what they have done to Brianna, I have lost all sympathy that I may have previously had for them. And I am glad that they will spend many years in prison and away from society.
The judge, Justice Yip, said she'd have to impose a life tariff when sentencing them in the new year. Brianna's mother asked people to be considerate of Girl X and Boy Y's families, saying they too had lost a child. Their parents wept in court as the verdict was read. After her murder, hundreds congregated to remember Brianna. Her mother, Esther, said she'd grieve over Christmas, then carry on campaigning for better mental health for teens next year. The legacy of her daughter, who struggled with anxiety, but who lived her life without fear. She said Brianna wanted to identify as female and that she'd wanted to wear a girl's uniform, something that wasn't a hurdle for her. She just did it. She was, she said, who she wanted to be.